What's going on, YouTube? R to the double E dash the Z-O-N coming at you once again. And I'm here to make a video. It's a response video, so to speak. Well, it was requested. Now, the messed up part is I've looked for like an hour now for the comment requesting for this video. I saw it about a day or two ago. I don't even remember how old the comment is. And it was somebody asking if I'm ever going to make another why N64 is the best console of all time video. And I responded with him like, for sure, you know what? That's the next video. Man, I wish I had the subscriber's name, man, just to show him some appreciation and some love. But just know, I mean, I spent the last 45 minutes looking through all the comments and I couldn't find it. So just know whoever that subscriber is, you are loved and appreciated. And this is for you, as well as for everybody else who is a retro head. Now, here with me, I have the console itself, man. The almighty, the divinely crafted, given to us by the gods. Nintendo 64. This is, to me, still to this day, I don't care all the advancements of modern video games. I benefit and love all those advancements, man, and take advantage of them every single day. And honestly, don't know after having them how we ever lived without them. But back in this time, it was a simpler time, man. It was a time of games being magical, man. I remember, like, okay, first of all, before I get into this, just know that every Nintendo console, to me, is a god tier console. Like, if you have like different levels on different pedestals on where you put consoles, you know, you got the decent consoles, good consoles. I enjoyed it, I had fun with it. You have the all-star consoles, like, you know, this is a step above the norm. You know, one of my favorites, you know, things like that. Then you have like the god tier, like the fucking elite. All of the Nintendo consoles are elite. They're all god tier. But to me, this is the one that is a step above god tier. This is what you would call the mythical. This is the mythical console, okay? This fucking box delivered so much magic to me and millions of other people, but specifically to me, in the Christmas of 1996 and going forward. It launched in September of 96. Now, before I get into, you know, my memories and just the facts, bro, why this is the greatest console of all time, just want to, you know, give you a layout of the consoles I always would do. Here you have the cartridge slot. N64, Nintendo decided to stay with the cartridge format while the rest of the industry was moving forward. And I don't want to say this mockingly, you know, air quotes, but I kind of do, because even though CDs were the future media, it was the future format, it was cutting edge, it allowed for more storage and all that, there was something just so Nintendo about the cartridges. I mean, you had them on the NES, you had them on the Super Nintendo, and from the NES to the Super Nintendo, visually, aesthetically, the cartridge had a different design. And then going from the Super Nintendo to the N64, the cartridge had a new aesthetic to it. And it's just something, you know, beautiful about having that physical collection. Like, I could pull out a million games, man, but I didn't want to do that. I want to just focus on the console. But they chose to stick with the cartridge format. And this had plus and negatives. You know, the pluses, the pros were absolutely no loading times. Just seamless gameplay. Loading into each level, loading into each world, from the start menu to the actual gameplay within seconds. Whereas PlayStation, Saturn, all the systems that had moved on to a CD format, bro, you were looking at 20 to 30, sometimes almost a minute of loading time. Just going from the title screen to gameplay. Just going from this world, you walk through a door and it has to load up the next world, and then you're there for 20, 30 seconds, sometimes even a minute, depending on the game. So that was a plus for the N64. The minus would be that on the cartridge, it was almost impossible to have any kind of full motion video. And at that time in the industry, game developers and designers were starting to incorporate a lot more full motion video into their games, making them more movie-like, because you had actual actors, you had actual footage, you know, in the game, which was cool. I loved it. People shit on the Sega CD religiously. I think the Sega CD was fucking phenomenal. I loved it. I chased one down and I have one in my collection. I had one when I was a kid. I ended up trading it or selling it because, you know, kids are idiots. We all were. And then, you know, later on in life as an adult, I was like, man, I got to get that console back, because it didn't have that many great games, you know, by, you know, standards of what people would say a huge, great game collection or game library is, like PlayStation 2 or, you know, the Switch. But it had some memorable games for me with that full motion video, you know, Sewer Shark, Jurassic Park, Fahrenheit, Wirehead, so many games. But this is not about the Sega CD. But in that time, the industry was moving in that direction. They were going in the direction of full motion video to add that Hollywood feel, make games feel like they were more than games. And cartridges really could not do that without a shitload of technical wizardry. that Capcom was able to accomplish in like games like Resident Evil 2. When they brought that to the N64, I mean, they actually had some full motion video in that cartridge, which was like a first for that time. So that was one of the negatives. But I love the cartridges, man. I love their design. I love, you know, just the tactical, physical feel of popping that cartridge in the cartridge slot. You hear that click, boom, you're ready to go. You know what I'm saying? The console itself, like I said, you know, there's the cartridge slot. This drawer here at the top of the system, when you open it, you had a stock N64 right out of the box. This wasn't here. It was a black jumper pack. That was your RAM. The N64 originally came with 4 megabytes of RAM. This, you know, notice it's red. It's because this is the expansion pack. It was an accessory that came out later in the N64's life that you could buy separately. You replace the jumper pack with the expansion pack. Now you have 8 megabytes of RAM, which back then was a lot, and it allowed the N64 to be customized graphically. It allowed you to play games in high res mode, so you had higher resolution. You had the option between like what games you're doing today. That's why I wanted to make this video. I love the subscriber that suggested this, because here I am making the same video but with new points. You know, because, you know, with time going forward and you experiencing more, you get new information. Video game consoles are doing this today in 2022. When you play a game on your Series X or on your PlayStation 5, and you have the option to go between performance mode or what do they call it? Performance mode or graphics mode or high res mode. Basically, it gives you the option of, you want to play this game at 4K. Awesome, we can do it, but you're going to be playing it at 60 or 30 FPS, frames per second. Or you could play it in, I'm sorry, let me repeat that. If you play it in performance mode, okay, that gives you the option to play this game at the highest frame rate. So you could play it at 120 frames per second, but it's going to be 1080p. It's not going to be 4K. Or you can go for graphics mode, which will let you play it in full 4K, the highest eye-bleeding resolution. Everything looks beautiful, but you're going to play it at a slower frame rate. It's one or the other. The N64 was doing that in 1997-98 when the expansion pack came out. It allowed you to play games like Turok Dinosaur Hunter 2 Seeds of Evil or Donkey Kong Country 64 in graphics mode, high-res mode, or performance mode. It allowed you to go, you know, like especially Turok 2 Seeds of Evil. There's an actual option when you go to the graphics options in the options menu. High-res mode, low-res mode. Clearer resolution but a slower frame rate. Higher resolution but a lower frame rate, or lower resolution but a better frame rate. The N64 was ahead of its time, dog. It was doing that shit in 98. We're here in 2022, and the Xbox Series X, the most powerful console in the world right now, does that. Now, N64 was doing that back then. So that's just a new point. But either way, that's what the expansion pack does. It gives you double the RAM, gives you better performance in, you know, games that were compatible with it. Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask, Donkey Kong Country 64, Turok 2 Seeds of Evil, and basically games going forward from the moment this came out had an option. A lot of the games had that option to swap between the two, you know, play modes. You know, then you got your standard power button, reset button. I never use this. I never reset in my game. I can't believe I have a fucking dent in my N64. Jesus, I'm sorry. The power button is a power switch. I like it better. I like the tactical click, boom, on, off of that as opposed to a button. In the back, you had this big old slot right here, because consoles of this time tended to have, especially when they started getting powerful like this, tended to have an external power supply as opposed to an internal one. So you have to connect that power supply back here, and then it had a cord that went to your outlet on the wall. And then here you had your RGB connection, red, yellow, white cables plugged in here, plugged to the back of the TV. And just the design of the console, man, to this day, still one of the sexiest designs, man. I mean, I said it in the original video. This shit's better than a woman. It is. Look at the curves, man. Look at them curves. Thickness. This is the goodness right here, man. And then we got the controllers, man. I brought out, you know, my, get that dust off because I haven't used this controller in a while. But I brought out the traditional classic gray controller that came with the console. And then I also brought out my favorite controller that I own for the console, which is that transparent jungle green N64 controller. I think they bundled this with the Donkey Kong Country N64 for Donkey Kong Country 64, or Donkey Kong 64, sorry. The controller's just badass, man. I mean, like, people always say, and I hear it all the time on you know, YouTube comments and, you know, Facebook discussions and all that when it comes to this console and just consoles in general. And it's funny because people talk with this sense of hindsight. You know, like, hindsight is 20/20. Of course it is, motherfucker. You know, if you knew back then what you know now, then yeah, this controller would have been a lot better. But they talk like this controller is, oh, it's weird, it's awkward, it's just not a good controller. first of all, had the best D-pad in the industry because Nintendo has that since fucking the NES. They trademarked this motherfucker. That's why when you look at other consoles like your Xbox, your PlayStation, their D-pads never look just like this. They always got to have some tweak. The PlayStation, I don't. And the DualSense, is it the same? I think it is. But the PlayStation, you'll notice that the up, left, right, and down are little segmented buttons. There's not one cohesive cross because they can't do it because Nintendo trademarked this. On the Xbox, you'll notice it's also different. It's a little bit concave. It goes in. They always got to have something different with their D-pad because Nintendo knew that they had a winner here, so they trademarked it. So it's got the best D-pad in the industry. It's got the first analog joystick on a handheld controller for a home console ever. It has, you know, your typical A and B face buttons. And then it's got this set of 4 yellow buttons. It's called the C buttons. C standing for camera. Because the N64 was the first console that ever allowed gamers. And I'm going to talk about this in depth because this was what really sealed the deal for me when I was 12 or 13 when this console dropped and I got to experience it for the first time. The C buttons allowed you to control the camera. No game on any console up until Mario 64 on the N64 at launch. Up until then, no other console allowed the player to manipulate the camera because it wasn't a 3D space. It was a 2D space, a side scroller or over the head perspective. You know, whatever fixed camera angle the games had back then, you couldn't manipulate it because you weren't working in a 3D space. N64 was the first one to bring true 3-dimensional graphics and gameplay home. It was revolutionary, man. I mean, think about this, bro. Every time we as gamers go from one generation to the next, you know, we're on this hardware, and now the new hardware releases, we jump into this generation. From last generation to the current gen. There's always a leap, you know? Going from the NES to the to the SNES, you had a leap. Much more colors available to display on the screen at the same time. A lot more sprites can be on the screen at the same time. A lot more things can be happening because the processor and the GPU, well, back then, yeah, it was, you know, GPU, whatever. The graphics processor in the system was more capable, could handle more, could take on a heavier load. So you had a jump. There was a big jump from NES to SNES. And, you know, when we went from GameCube to Wii, it wasn't that big of a jump because Nintendo had changed their strategy on how they were going to make consoles. They weren't going to continue to compete on the power side of things. They wanted to make innovative gameplay experiences, which I respect. And that's why I enjoy Nintendo. But, you know, jump from NES to SNES, pretty big jump. On other consoles, like, you know, when you went from PlayStation 1 to PlayStation 2, there was a big leap. When you went from PlayStation 2 to PlayStation 3, there was a big leap. When you went from PlayStation 3 to PlayStation 4, it was a leap, but it wasn't as big. And from PS4 to PS5, it's not that big. From Xbox One to Xbox Series X, it's not that big. It's noticeable, but it's not that big. What I'm saying there is that as we went from generation to generation, the generational leap, the difference in the visuals and the gameplay, it went from big leaps, and they just kept getting smaller and smaller because it's the law of diminishing returns. You know, the more and more technology progresses, yeah, we benefit from that and we enjoy it, but it's the leaps are smaller and smaller because technology's catching up to a point where it's like, okay, like these games already look fucking phenomenal. How much more real can you make it look? Not much. I mean, you can't get much more real than reality. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't, you know, you're basically bumping your head on the ceiling, just trying to make small steps of progress. There has never been a leap as big as when the N64 came around. Going from 16-bit to 64-bit, and I'll even say 32-bit for the PlayStation 1, but the 64 was so much more powerful than the PlayStation 1. It's just, they're in the same generation, but Nintendo was smart. They're like, yo, we're going to skip 32 altogether. We're just going to jump to 64. Because we know our opponents are going to jump to 32. So we're going to double them up. You know, it was brilliant. But the biggest generation, the biggest fucking difference, the most magical thing I had ever seen in my gaming life was going from Super Mario World on the SNES to Super Mario 64 on the N64. There has never been a bigger leap in gaming ever in the history of the industry, bro. You went from Atari to NES, there was a leap. You could tell NES was a lot more powerful, could do a lot more. From NES to SNES, holy shit, look at the SNES and what it can do. From SNES to N64 was like, It was just like, yo, the first time I ever fucking experienced Mario 64. Yo, I remember the first time I ever played it, it was at a Blockbuster. Blockbuster that was about maybe 10 blocks from my house. I was fucking 12, and me and a friend of mine would literally walk those 10 blocks at that age by ourselves every day during that summer, because they had an N64 set up in a kiosk at Blockbuster, and they had Mario 64 there, and you could test it out and play it. God damn, I miss Blockbuster, man. Shit, man. Getting old sucks, man. But, bro, because it was... I'll make a whole other video on that some other time. The fucking late 80s and the 90s was the best fucking time to be alive. It really was, but for so many reasons. But anyways, we would walk there and we would play Mario 64 for hours, man. And the first time I grabbed this controller, you know, the center prong with the analog stick and the right side for the face buttons, and took Mario for a fucking sprint around that meadow and actually moved a character for the first time in my gaming life. Instead of moving them back and forth, up and down, moved them all around in every conceivable direction you can go. I went in and doing backflips and side flips and slides and wall kicks and all. It blew my fucking 12-year-old mind. Like, I was never going to be the same after that. Like, straight up, I really wasn't. It was such a defining moment for me as a young man that I realized right then and there, you know, playing the N64, I realized, okay, not only do I fucking love video games, but I'm going to work in this industry. Be it video games, be it film, I am going to work in the 3D industry. I made that decision when I was like 12 or 13 after playing the N64. I knew come hell or high water, one way or the other, I was going to be in the 3D industry because the N64 blew my mind that much. It's kind of like when film buffs talk about, you know, the movies that blew them, like, you know, how many people watched Jurassic Park for the first time, and that CGI T-Rex breaking out of the paddock and the raptors and all, and those computer generated models, those animations that made those dinosaurs come to life in real time with real actors there. That was like a mind shift moment. That was a paradigm shift in the entire industry. That's what the N64 was for gaming. Going from, you know, your Mario sprite running back and forth, left and right, jumping on turtles, climbing up a vine, to doing all that in 3D, being able to move the camera around. So now it's not just left and right. It's, yo, you can tackle this from any angle. Just move the camera and you can see different ways you can approach it because you're in a 3D space. Like, I know younger viewers today, you know, and some of my subscribers today that are, you know, much younger than me, you grew up with this already implemented. So to you, it's no big deal. But for us, man, when you go from an 8-bit or 16-bit sprite to a 3D polygonal model running around in a 3D world in which you can affect the camera angle and maneuver however you want to, there's never been, and unless we get to the point where virtual reality gets so fucking real that you're literally in the game and there's actual games, not just virtual reality experiences, but actual full-fledged games, until we get there, you're never going to see a leap as big and as significant as the leap that the N64 made, going from 16-bit to 64-bit. So many great games, man. We can go down the list of the classics, man. Super Mario 64, to this day, is still in my running for greatest game of all time, man. I mean, that's always subjective. There's no definitive greatest of all time. But a lot of people would say, you know, Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, Super Mario 64. Shit, me and millions of others put Breath of the Wild in there. And you know, pick your game that you know, to you is, bro, so fucking amazing that it has to be in that conversation. The N64 had a small library compared to its rival, the PlayStation 1. The PlayStation 1 had millions of, bro, fucking, I don't even know how many thousands of games were on that system. N64 only had a couple hundred. But the quality of those couple hundred just blew the fucking brakes off of PlayStation and anything else, really. Because there was nothing on PlayStation. People say, well, Final Fantasy VII. Yeah, Final Fantasy VII is a legendary game. And again, this is subjective, but there is a fucking world of people out there that'll tell you Final Fantasy VII, as great as it is, can't shine Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time shoes. Can't. And I'm in that camp. Like, Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time is such a fucking experience, bro. You know, Super Mario 64, Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, Wave Race 64, which they just brought to Switch Online about a week or so ago, and I'm so ecstatic that that's there. I'm still looking for some of y'all to play online with, man. Holla at me, bro. Let's go. But, bro, like, the library was full of such, like, bro, GoldenEye 007, Turok 1 and 2, 3 and Rage Wars there are also good, but still, Turok 1 and 2, you know, fucking Pilot Wing 64, which is, you know, my favorite game of all time. Blast Corps, all the rare games. Donkey Kong 64, Banjo-Kazooie, Banjo-Tooie, Jet Force Gemini. Bro, there were so many, bro. I mean, the collection of classics on the N64 is just, to this day, it's unrivaled. I mean, the only one that's come close, and I think might actually overtake N64, is having such a collection of amazing classics and just legendary games, is the Switch. The Switch is fucking killing it. You know, in the last 5 years, the Switch is fucking ridiculous. But, yeah, bro, like, so let me walk you through my experience with the N64 when I first got it. All right, so the N64, once I started seeing in magazines, man, this back in the day, man, there's no, you know, Facebook, there's barely America Online. Okay, there's barely internet at all, you know. Like, it's in its infancy. You had, like, you know, chat rooms and screen names and shit like that. You know, back then I would see, I would get GamePro in the mail monthly. My mom and stepdad had paid for a subscription for me to have GamePro magazines delivered monthly. And I started seeing screenshots, and I started seeing what the console looked like. And I was a Nintendo fanatic like I am now. And I was just getting hyped, and I would tell my mother and my stepdad, guys, it's coming out September, I forgot the exact date, but 96. I need this console. I need this console. And, you know, my mom and stepdad were always gave me everything I wanted, man. Like, they were amazing parents, and like, they always found a way to give me what I wanted, you know. And I'm saying I'm spoiled. I'm not spoiled, but, you know, like, they were always there, bro, and they always provided that. So I kept telling them, and, you know, they were like, okay, well, we'll see, da 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 da. Launch day comes around, I don't have an N64. I'm livid. And you know, their whole plan was they were going to get it for me for Christmas that year. You know what I'm saying? But you know how you are with your kids. You don't, you know, when you want to surprise them, you play games with them. You play mind games. You know, you just, hey, well, we'll see. We're trying. We can't find it. Whatever. I was a motherfucking snoop. You know, so they would leave to work, and I'd be home because it was, you know, summer, like right before school started, and I'd be looking around the house. Where the goddamn Christmas gifts? Where they at? And I was looking everywhere, bro. And then I finally found the stash under their bed, and I saw the N64 box. And I shit you not, like a fanatical religious zealot, every day that they left to work, bro, I spent a good 20 or 30 minutes under the bed just looking at it like this, man. just like worshiping that motherfucker, bro. I couldn't wait, bro. The Christmas came around that year, bro, and I knew, you know, I don't know how, you know, everybody out there has a different experience with Christmas, but the way my family did it is, you know, a couple of weeks before, they start putting the gifts wrapped under the tree. I don't know how the fuck they kept us believing in Santa and all that. When we would see the gifts under the tree, like, it's not Christmas yet, what are these gifts doing here? But I knew which one was my N64. I knew the shape of that box. I knew the dimensions. I knew everything. I would just look at that shit every day. I'd be walking by the living room where the Christmas tree is, and I'd just be like, I knew, you know what I'm saying? So Christmas morning came, we opened it up. Bro, I opened up that N64. And the launch game they got me, because I was blown away by it when I saw screenshots of it, and I had asked for it, was Wave Race 64. That was my launch game for the N64. It wasn't even Mario 64. It was Wave Race 64. Bro, I popped that in Christmas morning, and I started playing, bro, and the fucking 3D graphics, the vibrant colors, the water physics, blew my 12-year-old mind, bro, sky high. I was on cloud 9. My life was forever changed. I was like, that's it, bro. I'm gonna be in the 3D industry. This is too fucking amazing. I have to. And I've always been an artist. I always had artistic skills. So I'm like, that's the perfect way to use this talent that God gave me and do something that I'm passionate about. It blew my fucking mind. Every Christmas morning, we open our gifts, you know, chill, have a little, you know, time with the family right there at home, and then we'd all even go to my grandmother's house and meet up with the rest of the family because we got a big Cuban family, dude. Nosotros Latinos estamos locos, bro. Like we have, there were 20, 30 people in that house that Christmas morning, and open up gifts there also, and then have Christmas like lunch and el lechon, that was left from the night before, from La Noche Buena, from Christmas Eve. I didn't want to go. I was like, you cannot tear me off this controller. My mother and stepdad had to literally like damn near drag me out of my room to go to my grandmother's house. And I love my grandmother. I love going to her house. But I was like, I'm not leaving. The entire day I was there, I was like, when are we going home? When are we going home? and if I'm not mistaken, I believe Blockbuster was open that Christmas. On the way home, I nagged my mother and stepdad to take me by Blockbuster and rent me a game. And they rented me, we went in there, and the system had just launched a couple months before, so every game was basically rented out. And I saw Wayne Gretzky's 3D hockey. Was it that? No, that wasn't Christmas Day. I'm sorry. That was like probably like a week later or so. But either way, we rented Wayne Gretzky's 3D hockey, and I was like, this is fucking amazing. But it's like that experience was so magical, man. I've never had an experience with a new console the way it was with N64. Put it this way, 5 years later, 2001, when the Gamecube launched, same thing. They got it for me for Christmas. And it was awesome. That Christmas morning was awesome. And then I had Star Wars Rogue Squadron 2, Rogue Leader, and Wave Race Blue Storm. And I had an amazing experience, and it was beautiful, but it wasn't as magical as that N64, bro, because with the GameCube, I expected better graphics, and I expected 3D now. You fucking expect 3D going from the SNES to the next console, that big of a leap. So that was my experience, man, and it was a magical moment, bro. Even at age 38, man, damn near 40 years old, still loving games the way I do, still just being obsessed with this hobby and this leisure activity. Everybody has their own different leisurely activities. You might like to watch shows. You might like to read. You might like to work out. You might like to just, whatever, write, draw. I choose, like when I have leisure time, my first choice is always gaming. Always, no matter where I'm at. On my phone, on my PC, on my Switch, when I'm out and about, here at home with the Series X, or retro consoles. I'll go back to my Wii U. I'll go back to my GameCube. I'll go back to my Dreamcast. I'll go back to my Genesis. That's my thing, bro. But I still, like 2 weeks ago, I made the video where I got the OLED. And you saw how giddy I was. It was like, bro, because getting new hardware is just a fucking buzz, bro. It's a high. And it still is after all this time. But it's never going to be as magical as it was when I opened this up, man. I mean, this console, man, this machine. And one of the comments on the original video that I have, saying why the N64 is the best console of all time. Somebody had mentioned that, bro, your 64 still looks like, mint condition. I wish mine still looked like that. Bro, that's why when I saw his little dent, I was like, oh my God. Bro, this machine will be with me through life, man. Hell, when I die, my wife or whoever, bury me with this right here in my chest like this, man. I'm taking it with me, bro. Like this is with me for life. And it's also a beautiful thing, man, that this is a gift that was given to me by my mother, my stepdad, my parents, so that's another sentimental thing. But yeah, bro, man, and the fact that it had 4 controller ports. I mean, consoles up until this point, 2 controller ports. You remember back in the day on the NES, you had the TMNT, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the arcade game port that, was brought to the NES. And, of course, they had to make concessions, graphical concessions and sound because it wasn't as powerful as an arcade chipset. One of the concessions they had to make was make it from 4 players on the arcade to 2 players at home because the system couldn't handle more than that. And, that's why they only had 2 controller ports. This motherfucker came out with 4 controller ports, which meant automatically we knew it was the first time we're going to get an arcade type of experience at home. Because you connect 4 controllers, and you and 3 other friends can go to town on GoldenEye, Wave, Diddy Kong Racing, Mario Kart, anything, bro. Anything that had, all the sports games, the Maddens, the NBAs, and all that. 4 players, all y'all can get together and spend all hours of the night till the sun comes up on summer and during summer playing WCW NWO Revenge, WWF No Mercy, fucking Rampage World Tour, man. This thing, bro. It's physically, materially, this is my most prized possession. It really is. I mean, look, I'm 38, man. This came out when I was 12. This is still with me, and I still connect it every now and then, and have a good week or 2 straight where I'm playing nothing but N64. Dude. I mean, it's just a phenomenal console, man. There's really not much more to say about it. Yeah, man. I mean, and for all the viewers and subscribers out there that you know, you like my content, but you say, oh, well, I disagree. The PlayStation 1 was better, or I like the GameCube better, and all that. Hey, to each their own, man. I'm not thumbing that down. I'm not looking down on that, bro. Hey, it's subjective, man. I love the fucking GameCube. I mean, I've had this debate a couple. You've seen me. I've made videos about it on my channel. N64 versus GameCube. I mean, let's just be honest. Let's talk brass tacks here. The GameCube is a better console than the N64. Guaranteed. But it's not a greater console, in my opinion. Now, what I mean by that is, of course it's a better console. It's the next one. It's always going to be better. It's always going to be better going forward because you have better technology. You got better specs. Can handle more. Can process more. Can do more. Yes. But greatness, that's where we got to start, you know, separating the wheat from the chaff. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's there. Greatness is not your specs, your power, you know, your ability to handle or do more. No, greatness is the impact. Okay. And the impact the N64 had, like, there's never been an impact like that ever since. You know, that is not subjective. That is objective fact. There has never been as big of an impact as going from 2D to 3D in gaming. Never. The closest thing, and it doesn't get there, but the closest thing is when the Wii brought in motion controls. That was a whole different mindfuck of like, oh my God, there's a whole new way to play. But going from 2D to 3D, that alone makes the N64 the greatest. And then the fact that it brought things along, it introduced things, as I said in my other video, that became mainstays in every console developed by any company going forward. 4 controller ports, first one to do it. PlayStation 2, which came out after this. The next generation still only had 2 controller ports because they're done. But, you know, the Dreamcast came out, 4 controller ports. The original Xbox came out, 4 controller ports. You know, the GameCube, 4. That became a mainstay once this pioneer right here brought it in. 3D graphics, first to do it, and do it as successfully and as completely as Nintendo. That became a mainstay. You had, on the controller, the analog stick. First to do it. Matter of fact, they did it. And during the same fucking console generation, when they were competing against PlayStation 1, when they brought this out at launch, PlayStation's launch controller on the PlayStation 1 did not have analog sticks. It wasn't a DualShock. It was still a D-pad. What they go, holy shit, that's amazing. Nintendo's fucking done it again. Let's go in the lab and let's copy them. And there came the DualShock. Every controller and every console going forward now has had an analog stick or 2. The Dreamcast, the Xbox, the PlayStations, all of them. The 3D graphics kind of goes hand in hand with my next point, camera control. The fact that you can manipulate the camera now because you're in a 3D space. And N64 did it first. The Rumble Pack, I have one of that, I didn't bring it out. But the Rumble Pack was an attachment, for those of you who don't know. You younger gamers, you know, you play today a game, and every fucking game, every controller, every system offers force feedback, meaning you can feel through the controller. You know, there's a forgot the actual technical term for it, but it's a motor inside the controller that will vibrate, you know, at different levels of strength depending on what's going on the screen. So if on you know, today's games, if you're playing a game and you start walking through like mud, like sticky terrain, you'll start feeling with each step. If you're in a ship and you get blasted, boom, it's stronger. The N64 introduced that. That is now a mainstay. That is now on every fucking console going forward. So the impact, dude, the contributions to the gaming industry and the gaming world that are lasting, that still to this day carry on. That's what greatness is, man. And no console did it like this. Again, you know, your favorites, what you prefer, all that's subjective. And I totally, you know, everybody's within their rights to state their opinion, agree, disagree, that's cool. But what we cannot disagree on is objective fact. Like, for example, gravity exists. I don't think so. Go jump off the fucking balcony, see what happens to you. See if gravity gonna pull your ass back down to the ground and splatter your shit all over the sidewalk. That's objective fact. This had the biggest impact in the gaming industry ever. That's subjective fact. Like I said, the only thing that comes close is Wii's motion controls, Xbox, or actually Dreamcast, introducing online play in a console, including a 56K modem in the actual system back in the day. But then Xbox, making Xbox Live and online gaming on a console, like that, making that network, that's one of the biggest impacts. But the biggest is going from 2D to 3D. And that's this little motherfucker right here. You know what I'm saying? So anyways, man, I think that's pretty much all I had to say on this video, man. Again, for the subscriber that requested this, man, and man, I saw the comment the other day. I wish I could fucking remember where I saw it. I thought it was on YouTube, but I went through all my freaking latest comments and I couldn't find it. It might have been on Facebook or something. I don't know, man. But that subscriber, man, I hope you see this video. Know that this was for you specifically, but overall, it's for everybody, for all us gamers, man, because, man, that's what we do. We love gaming, man, and talking about it and discussing it, and you know, reviews and reactions and all that. That's just playtime, dude. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. All my subscribers, like I said, remember, man, I'm trying to, you know, take this YouTube thing to another level. So I checked out the rules. They did change the rules. Now, to be able to monetize this channel and really, you know, take it to the next level, I need to have 1,000 subscribers. And I need to have, I think it's 1,000 view hours, you know, for people watching my videos. So we're far from that, but we're gonna push, man. And I need you guys' help. I need y'all to spread the word. I need you guys to, you know, comment, like, subscribe, all that stuff. And hopefully, you know, others will see this video and jump aboard. I'm at 239 subscribers right now. I need to get to 1,000. So that's a lofty goal, but we're gonna push for it. And I think in viewing hours, I'm like at 400 or something like that. And we need 1,000. So we're getting there, you know what I'm saying? So I just need y'all help. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video, man. I'm going to continue to make content. The next video I'm going to make is going to be, give you a little preview right now. It's going to be a video on Dotemu, which is the developer that gave us the fucking sublime Streets of Rage 4 about a year and a half ago, and just gave us Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge, which is chef's kiss, man. That's just fucking gold. And the video is going to be about them, and because they're by far now they have solidified themselves as, and they gave us Windjammers too, also, which is just fucking these bad motherfuckers, man. And I love giving props to developers. Seeing as I'm going to be one myself and be in the industry, I love giving them props when they do such fucking fantastic work, man. Because I know what it takes, man. They are the kings of taking old, dormant, in some cases forgotten franchises that people like me and people in my age range, my generation, grew up watching, playing, enjoying, and bringing them back, but with still that retro vibe, dude. Like they could easily take that and come forward and make it a modern day game with, you know, AAA budget behind it, and that would be cool. I like that. But there's something beautiful about taking the old, like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, bring them into 2022, but with that same graphic style from back in the day, just prettying it up a little bit, giving it a little bit of tweak of modern gameplay, but along with that nostalgia and that old school goodness. They're the kings of that shit, man. Streets of Rage 4, I don't have a problem. So I love Streets of Rage 1 through 3 on the Genesis. Love them. They're amazing. Streets of Rage 4 is the best Streets of Rage game ever made. I don't care. To me, again, that's subjective, but to me, hands down, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge is, to me, the best Turtles game ever made. And the Turtles lineage is fucking... The arcade game is a beast. Turtles in Time is... Oh! I love them all, man. It's like picking between your kids, but Shredder's Revenge is that fucking good. Windjammers, too. I wasn't a huge Windjammers fan. Like, I played it and I enjoyed it as a kid. But this new one that they made... It's that goodness, but modernized, but still with that old school retro look. They're the kings of this shit, man. So the next video is going to be me discussing a list of properties or franchises that bro, if I was a rich man, I'd pay them to do it, bro. Like, that they need to pick up and do the same thing. Give it the same treatment. Give it the Streets of Rage 4, Shredder's Revenge, Windjammers 2 treatment to these franchises, man. And I think that's going to be a fun discussion, a fun list of games. And I think you guys will enjoy that, man. So I'll be making that also today. And both these videos are going to upload, you know, together. So you guys will get 2 new videos, man. Like I said, I'm going to make more consistent videos. And like I said, I'm going to get on that schedule that we talked about in the last video. I'm still ironing it out, planning it, how I'm going to do it and all that. But that's where we're heading, man. So I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. God bless y'all. Stay gaming. It's R to the double E always, and you know this.